Good morning, Gloucester. Everybody got horrified at the thought of me taking my shirt off.
No, nobody is.
You guys horrified.
Yeah,
Six people
I'm
were
insulted.
screaming from the room.
I'm personally insulted.
I know there were lots more of us.
People here.
Yeah, we had 15 guests. We're down to 6 diehards.
Getting ready to take his shirt off. He jumped in the harbor.
It's GloucesterCast 288.
They're swimming.
We have Nichole Schrafft here.
Good morning.
Susan Casey Lipsett is here.
Yep.
I get the middle name. Should I keep the middle name or
No,
not?
you can drop it.
Drop
After
it.
40 years of marriage, I can drop it.
All right. Susan Lipsett's here. Pat and Jimmy GMG are here.
Good morning, Gloucester.
And Kim Smith is back.
Good morning, Gloucester.
Fresh off of Kildare duty.
Yeah,
Is
that's
that
right.
in relation to Dr. Kildare?
No. You know, they're called Kildeers, but it's a corruption of Kildee. Because that's what they say when they're piping. They go,
okay.
Kildee. And so somehow that got corrupted.
I wondered
to
how that
Kildare.
happened.
I know,
Okay.
it's a terrible name. Like,
Yeah.
it's such a sweet, pretty plover. Why do you have to call it Kildare? I don't know. It bothers me, that name.
Awful.
They need another name like the orca whale and the killer whale.
Yeah.
They need to
Right.
Yeah.
you know, if you don't want to say killer whale, you can say orca because it doesn't sound.
Or just say Kildee.
Exactly.
Even Kildee is
Yeah.
nicer than Kildare. Right.
Kildee.
Right. Kildee.
Kildee.
Yeah.
in the house.
It's an It's a. What did you say? It was an abomination of it.
No, it's not
it's
an abomination.
it's just a corruption.
A corruption.
Corruption of, you know how words get
Corrupted.
corrupted.
Abomination is much more serious than that.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah. It is. It is much more serious. It is July 15th, which means we're kind of like over the hump, and we're kind of like racing towards fall now. I feel like.
Yes.
Like we're gonna blink, and we're gonna blink, and it's gonna be time for the kids to go back to school. 2 weeks before summer, really kind of like 2 weeks before school comes, is when everybody kind of switches off of because everybody's like starts to think about changing their yards over or what they have to do to put stuff away for the people that are actually going to be leaving at the end of the month,
The smart people, you mean.
like the Susan Lipsetts of the world.
Right.
When do you leave, Susan?
Around Labor Day.
Well,
Oh, you do? Wow.
Your kids are on their own though, so you don't.
They are.
It's not based on their schedules. It's based on your own.
Yeah. First frosty morning, I go.
You're done.
Wow.
You're like just dust, pot and cloud of dust.
It's so. I think the most beautiful month. I mean, I love every month here, but two of my favorites are September and October.
I grew up in New England, so I'm fully acquainted.
Yeah.
I agree. I 100% agree with Kim. If I didn't, they're two of my busiest months. But if I didn't have work,
Yeah.
those afternoons on the beach,
Are nice. No, it's nice.
It's
I
dry-
just have
it's
stuff to
generally
do. I need to
drier.
go.
Yeah.
and still warm,
Yeah.
and those sunsets, it's just that warm glow in the
Yes,
evening.
and
And
everything's so. I think because of the angle of the light, it's
The
everything's
angle
so
of the light is
The
it's
light's
so
been very nice
atmospheric.
this
Gorgeous.
week.
Yeah. It's
Huh?
just,
The light's been very nice this week in the evenings.
yeah.
Our
You-
Smith's
Yes.
Cove has really
yes,
been
It's
beautiful.
been beautiful.
oh God.
We're blessed. Sorry, out of towners.
So
Yeah.
I'm gonna say
Joey sends pictures to them.
we got an order of business. Cape Ann Community Cinema. They sponsor 2 tickets. Anybody want 2 tickets to the?
I do, because that's the only reason I even come. Is to
All right, you got here. I'll put them in your hand right now.
I need
Anybody
some
else want
last-
2
So
tickets?
Susan, it was
My
nice
friends.
seeing you. We'll see you later on.
Yeah, you should wait till the end, really.
Does anybody else want 2 tickets? Cape Ann Community Cinema.
I had never been there, and it's a wonderful place.
The
Oh
programming
my God,
is
I went with my
fantastic.
friends, and we had the best time. Shout out to Tom and Nora.
They do a nice job.
Oh,
down
give
there.
It's
me,
so
give
comfortable, I
me 2
almost
tickets
took
and I'll
them
give them
out.
to Susan so she can take more friends.
Yeah.
No, I'm not doing that.
I like how you buy your refreshments out of like a home refrigerator there.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
so folksy.
They have really delicious refreshments.
He has great programming.
You can bring your own food?
If nothing else, he has tremendous programming. Like really great films that you may not see
Yeah.
at the big box.
I used to
movie
go up
theaters.
to that Hollywood Hits, and then they
And
closed
then
it.
it closed.
Yeah, that was a treasure.
heartbreaking.
Yeah,
that was heartbreaking. when
Um,
they closed that.
But we don't even have to run out of town to go to this one.
Right.
Um,
I'm
so
going to go more often now because I
if-
saw it.
if one of our if someone that's listening to this podcast, I'm not going to put this in the show notes. if someone's listening to this podcast and you write me a note, the first person that writes me a note in the show notes of this podcast and tags me so it alerts me, I'll have 2 tickets for you as well.
Very good.
Well, I'll go as a
That's a
group.
great idea.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you, Susan Lipsett, for, what are we calling these things? Hazelnut snails, which doesn't sound very
It doesn't
appealing.
sound good at all, but I didn't name them. It's someone else's recipe, so.
Can you describe what the
It's croissant dough that you fill with hazelnut and cinnamon and various other goodies, and you roll them up like a jelly roll and cut them and rise them and bake them. So it's kind of like a cinnamon roll, but out of croissant dough with
They're quite yummy.
hazelnuts.
Thank you for bringing them. Yeah.
Thank you so much. So I tried the one with the chocolate. You had some without chocolate.
My husband didn't think the chocolate glaze was a good idea. I thought of that. It wasn't in the recipe, but I thought, it could be kind of Nutella-ish.
I was going to say, is it Nutella?
And I have a
No, 'cause it
son-in-law who
looks-
grew up in Europe and is a fiend for anything with Nutella.
Yeah.
So I said, let me put a little chocolate glaze on here and see if that, it might be gilding the lily. But my husband was not convinced, so I left some plain and put chocolate
I'm a
on
fan
some.
of both.
husband is so fortunate.
Everyone's
Yes,
like
he
a
is.
food critic when they don't do the work,
My husband is
It's true.
so fortunate.
But he has a good palate and he gives me good feedback.
We came all the way down for some of your donuts the other day.
Those were stale. I told
I don't
him
know.
not
Well,
to
they
take
weren't here
those.
when we got here. So
I found out who the culprit was. I found out who the culprit was. Chris McCarthy. On his way out, he clipped them.
Donut.
my children were sobbing.
I called. She was on the
From
dock.
another time.
She was on the dock across the way. I says, "Bring the kids over. I got the cronuts." Susan made the cronuts. Come over. She raced over.
And he took them.
She comes up here. There's
Now
nothing
he
here.
likes them.
Huh?
But didn't he go get us stuff?
He did. No, you're thinking of Chris.
That's the other Chris.
The other Chris, the Lobsterman
Yeah.
Chris. No, this
Yeah.
is Chris,
I
my
like
friend Chris.
Lobsterman Chris. He's very
He's a nice kid.
Chris
accommodating guy.
He's a sweet kid.
He
What?
distracted us with some of his stories.
Antics.
Jokes.
Antics.
Oh, that's not
And we
good.
didn't see.
I was getting
every
mixed
time
up
we
The other
laughed,
Chris.
it-
Sleight of
I mean,
hand.
that's
That
pretty
Chris.
low to
Sleight
steal
of
baked
hand.
goods from children.
From children. I know,
That's
right?
awful.
You should really.
Chris McCarthy.
That's an
You can't trust him.
abomination, Joey.
You can't trust
Why are
him.
you smelling that bottle, John?
This is so Pat brought this in. It's isn't it pretty?
Yeah, it's lovely.
So this is a regular bottle
Right.
that Blanton's bourbon comes in.
Oh, wow. With that stopper?
But
Wow.
Pat brought this. She got it at David Cox's
Antique
antique shop, Main Street Art and Antiques. And Pat is going to explain the meaning. So on a bottle of Blanton's, which when we had the bourbon tasting, when people saw the photo of all the bourbons displayed, the Blantons got the most comments. It didn't get voted from the panel as
The best.
the best,
But it got the most comments.
but social
Well,
media
it's
wise,
expensive, that's why.
people were like, "Oh my God, there's Blantons." People actually showed up that weren't invited because they saw it on the podcast and were
that's
in the
funny.
neighborhood and made a beeline
Yeah.
so that they
Yeah.
could and
Try some
and
Blantons.
Blanton's went.
Blanton's
Pat,
Crashers.
Blanton's
So when I-
crashes.
Yeah, so when I saw that in the shop, in
The decanter
Main
with a
Street
with a
Art,
horse.
the antique shop, it had a tag on it that said something about Blanton's bourbon, which drew my eye right away because
The
you had
podcast.
just
I
had
didn't
the
even need a tag.
you
I
had
knew.
just had the taste off, and so I looked at them. There were 3 bottles sitting there. And I left them there and went home and did some research about those bottle stoppers, which are made of metal and depict various stages of a horse race. So it's a nod to the Kentucky heritage of the Blanton's bourbon. And there are 8 of these stoppers in this series, and each has a letter on it that spells out Blanton's. B at the beginning of the race, with the jockey on top of the horse at the beginning of the race, and then on down the line to S at the end of the race, which is for victory, because this particular one shows a jockey rider winning the race. So back down to the shop I go to look at the letters on the stoppers, and lucky me, they had an S.
What up?
So this was my post today, if anybody wants to look at it, and there's a link to the site where I found the information on the Blanton's website about these bottle stoppers. They were just quite fascinating. They're not very old in terms of their life that's been only since 1999, and they don't have a lot of value. That's why I gave it to Joey. And
Perfect gift for Joey.
But
Because Joey doesn't have a lot of value.
But they're just so neat. It's so neat. I think.
You know what? The story is. It's a great story, especially if you're a bourbon
letter
drinker.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay.
Kim, you check out the her post. The post it has photos of it all too.
Yeah, this is
Really cool.
fascinating. Wow, so people must collect the whole out.
I see those bottles all the
Gives them an
time.
excuse to drink more bourbon.
Yeah.
As if a bourbon drinker needs
I
an
mean,
excuse.
all I was attracted was by the little tag that said Blanton's Bourbon. I was like, oh, and then I went and did this research, and it was this cool little story.
So,
So,
is it a collectible thing? Do they still sell
they're
them?
collectible, but it's not.
No, but but
Yeah,
people.
it's a
I'm
collectible thing.
I'm
Yes.
checking eBay immediately.
There's 2 more down at Dave's, and I don't remember the letters. It was probably not a B, or I would have thought about getting the beginning.
This is an upscale version of the Monopoly game at Stop and Shop.
Yeah.
Or the Beanie
McDonald's.
Baby thing years ago.
There you go, right?
Wow, it would be fun to see them all lined up.
Yes, it would,
yeah.
It would be going
With bourbon, with
race.
bourbon in the bottles.
And it would look like that photograph of the really early photograph that proved that what horses do with their feet when they race, and it's like chopped up. That's what it would look like.
Right.
Yeah.
There you
Right.
go.
Wow,
Pat,
fun.
Jimmy and Pat are the only ones I think that went to the block party last night. Oh, Nichole, you went too?
I had dinner at Tono, and I parked at Harbor Loop, so I had to walk through it on the way home.
Oh, so you
Yes,
kind
I
of
went
a
to it.
kind of a black party thing. Then Pat and Jimmy.
Yeah, we
I walked
Intentionally
by
went.
Pat and Jimmy. Yeah,
Oh, really?
yeah.
So Pat and Jimmy said that it was well attended.
It was really crowded.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
I'm gonna let you guys do the speaking to it.
Yeah, there were a lot of vendors down there. Probably the more popular ones included the person that was making crepes. That one was very popular
very
and had
popular.
a long line in front of it. Ken Hecht spoke to us a little bit about the lighting situation, because we had volunteered to help with the lights, and then we look up and the lights are there, and we hadn't been contacted, so we're like, okay. And we had seen the electric trucks there all,
Always.
getting the lights up. God bless those guys for
Yeah.
all the work they did. And I'm sorry, I can't remember who all the electricians were, but he mentioned them by
I know
name.
Steve Noble was one of
Noble.
them.
Yeah, that was one of
And-
He
them.
was the
And-
wallet retriever.
Right,
Yeah,
for the seagull.
Yes, and somebody with an
Stolen-
S. Still.
Actually, it was
There's
the
a,
mothers.
I know it had
was
to
the
be
mothers that
Ringo
were-
Tarr had to be one. of
Yeah,
them.
Ringo
MBT.
Tarr and
It
something
said
with an
Noble
S
on the blog.
with an S. But anyway, so they were able to get the lights in the trees from like Tano to Pleasant Street, the big trees that they needed the bucket trucks for, and then the second half of the project is going to be from Pleasant Street down to Flanagan Square, where they may be needing more on the ground help, feet on the ground kind of help.
I can't wait to see it.
I'm glad to hear that the block party was well attended, because the last couple of years it seems like it was a little sparse, but the chamber really seemed like they've been getting out the word about it. So.
Yeah, there were a lot of people there. The kids were doing a little play with Heidi. And a lot of entertainment. Those guys in the red pants, they were very popular, and they were very
Red pants.
they were good
I would've
entertainment.
gone if I
That's what
knew
they
the
call
red
themselves.
pants on men.
That's what they call themselves. Is something like
The guys in the
guys in the red
red
pants.
trouser guys or something like that. And they were quite
It's like the
entertaining.
red hat.
Yeah.
And with the red
Right,
hat.
have purple dress.
I liked how everything was pretty well spaced out.
Yes.
You could walk, and we did several times, walk the entire length, and you got to see, of course the road is skinnier in the West End. So when you put the vendors out, and they were very adamant that the vendors did not go out past the parking.
Oh, I know that.
Yeah.
I remember
Boy,
that.
they actually, there was a couple of policemen, and they walked around and told people they had to back up. And I was watching them pack it all up.
They have to be able to get a fire
we also
truck.
watched tallies.
Oh.
3 cars.
Yeah.
Because they warned them they were going to tow,
Yeah.
and they did. So we were kind of watching that. But it was all spaced out. I was very impressed the way they had stages of areas with bands.
Yeah.
And it was all different type of music. Yeah, they had the folk singers at a certain area. That was good.
Mm-hmm.
And me being the music guy, I got to tell you, I was standing over by a couple of spots, and none of the bands kind of matched. I mean, they
It's a
didn't
nice-
interfere with
it's
each
a
other.
really nice, yeah.
So-
yeah, there's no.
I was in a certain area. I was when we were
variety.
watching the play. There was a band in the background, okay, it made it a little bit harder to hear the kids doing the play stuff,
yeah.
but the band wasn't really destroying it.
Yeah.
You walk a couple of stores, and all of a sudden you hear the other music.
Yeah. Oh, wonderful.
So that,
That's
to me,
wonderful.
was quite impressive the way they organized
It was very family friendly. There were a lot of activities, free activities, as well as vendors that were selling things.
Yeah.
Outside dining was available at Short and Main, Jalapenos, and Trio already has that patio there,
That's
which
nice.
was nice, and a lot of people were taking advantage of that. It was nice. It was very
So the
low
next
key.
one is what, August?
August.
August.
No,
11th?
no, that's
No.
Rocky Neck.
That's the Rocky Neck one.
Oh,
Eighth.
sorry.
Rocky
August
Neck.
8th, I think.
All right. Well,
Well, the sign's up right above,
Yeah.
right downtown. It's sitting right up there by the
Maybe.
Cape Ann Brewery.
No, maybe.
Tom and I went to the Rocky Neck. I forgot to
No,
mention
the
that.
11th, because Rocky
We went
Neck
to
is
the
on a
Rocky
Wednesday,
Neck,
and the 11th is a Saturday.
Yeah.
Night.
I think it is the 11th.
yeah, and I think it's
Neck is
August
the
8th is the Rocky Neck.
It's
Oh,
Rocky
okay.
Neck, and the
All right.
11th
That's right.
Yeah, we
Saturday
went
is
down
the
there
block
too.
party.
That was
Yeah.
very interesting.
The Rocky Neck nights on.
Nights of the
Nights on
Neck.
I was
Nights on the
there.
Neck. Tom and I went to that. So
I didn't see you.
Yeah, I didn't see you guys either.
Yeah,
You
we
couldn't
went
park- I
down-
would have let you park at my house.
Oh, that's so
We
nice.
were down there,
Sweet.
too.
I'll give you
Yeah.
Joey's
Enjoyed
space
that.
because he's about done. He stayed too long.
It was very lovely. We walked around. All the galleries were open. We got to see all the new galleries and the old galleries. So that was really
Yeah.
fun. Is the printer Joe Fish?
Yeah, Joe Higgins
Yeah.
is down at
Yeah.
Madfish Wharf. Did you
I
notice
love
the progress they're making on Madfish Wharf?
Oh, it looks so
Oh,
nice.
it
They put
looks
up that net.
amazing.
It was amazing.
It's amazing.
Yeah,
It's gonna be
I would have
great.
never guessed it was going to look like that based on what we
Saw
saw.
before.
Yeah, it's
in
If
the
I was
spring down
if
there.
I was an artist, I would be and if there was space down on Madfish Wharf this summer, like I would try to get my foot in the door for next summer
For next summer.
Yeah.
because
Wow.
I think it's gonna be a happening spot.
Is there a you know where the Madfish Wharf restaurant was?
Yeah,
Are they going to put a new restaurant there? What's
They're
going on?
supposed
Do you
to.
I'm
know?
fairly pretty sure the way
Sanical
the way
says he is.
yeah it looks like that. Have you been down there?
Yeah.
So you saw that they have the construction. It's
Yeah,
it's
that's
recon.
construction, but I didn't know. I don't know what they're doing. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's still going because they didn't rip out the kitchen or anything
oh,
like that.
okay.
So
All right. Oh, cool.
pretty sure.
I was most impressed with the Nesta Galleries. We went in there, and his wife was there running it, and she, as soon as we walked in, she wanted to apologize that
Oh.
she didn't get everything done right
Aw.
and everything, and she said, well, I'm trying to remember him and keep his work and still fix the place up, so excuse me if it's all different things. So anyway, that was kind of impressive right there.
Yeah. I mean, I think Rocky Neck has been hit hard with John Nesta and Gordon Getterman
Mhm.
gone.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But it drew quite a few people, and I
Yeah, it
think
was fun.
more people learned about it. And
It was
And
nice.
it
And
was a
shout
nice-
out
it
to
was a
the
nice
ladies
night.
who
Yeah.
organized it.
Yeah.
They did so
they
much
did a
work.
great job. They did a
Kathy
great
and
job.
Stephanie, they did
yeah,
a
did you go
wonderful
in
job.
gallery? Is it Gallery 53?
We went in there.
Yeah,
Very
that's a
nice.
Very nice collection
Collection
of
of
local artists.
people there, yeah.
Very nice. Jane Keddy's in it.
Is that the one where
Um,
Ginger's place is there?
I
No,
don't
it's the
know.
one that used to be. It's between the studio and the Rudder.
Yeah.
The
Oh,
old-
the it used to be the Rocky Neck Gallery.
Yeah, but it was something else before that.
Right, in the tin building.
Yes,
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And
They
The
have
one
some
that's
great,
like a
they've always had,
collaborative.
Right,
for the
it's-
past 10 years or so, they've had some fantastic.
Yeah, it's a it's a cooperative,
Right.
right?
Right.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
Yes, it
so
is.
Judy
but,
Robinson Cox always has her stuff there.
Yeah.
The Rhinelander woman has her stuff there.
Marion Rhinelander.
Yeah.
They have a lot of-
yeah.
A lot of variety.
It's very nice. Yeah.
I think
Keddy.
I think one of my favorite stores down there is the one with the women's shop across from
Cottage.
Gina Piantadosi's. The one
Yes.
where they have
Cottage.
Yeah,
the cottage.
Yes.
They have
Lots of
great
fun
women's
decor and-
gifts there, shawls and T-shirts, but
And people
like
don't know they have little children's clothes there too.
They
yeah.
do.
all
Clothes.
high end
They can personalize
cashmere
the
pet
kids' clothes.
stuff. The sweaters, like three seasons shawls and stuff. Really high, fancy, beautiful stuff.
Joey's 3-season show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that
Well,
just
I-
rolled off his tongue.
Hey.
He said it
I'm
gonna tell
several
you
other
something.
times.
I'm gonna tell you,
Wow.
that store is
Slave
right
to
in
fashion. Who knew?
right in Kate's wheelhouse. That
Yeah.
store,
Yeah.
it's like at all
We
her
guessed.
type.
We guessed.
Like I could
It
go
was
in and say,
probably-
I'll take one of everything, and Kate would be wardrobed for the next 20 years,
Or the next 2 weeks.
or that. Yeah. I wanted to mention my friends, and I can't thank enough the Ellis family on the Thomas Landon. Heath has taken over. Tom was on the boat. We had our annual cigar and rum sale, which we've gotten to a point now where we don't even advertise it, and it sells out
Yeah.
because everybody that's gone on it in the past. So we had it Thursday night. Everybody that went on it, we say the same things every year. This is my favorite night of the summer. It was gorgeous.
I think it was a beautiful night
It was
when you
beautiful
closed it.
night.
Yeah.
Well, this time of year, you get beautiful nights
Yeah.
every night. I
Yeah.
mean, there's very few stinkers. So it was so popular. We're gonna do another one Friday. 2 Fridays from not next Friday, the Friday after.
27.
It's the 27th.
Yeah.
I have the link to get the tickets. But we're gonna do. It's gonna be a bourbon and cigar cruise.
Wow.
So we're gonna have bourbon for purchase, and they're gonna have cigar. You can
And-
smoke cigars.
And are they going to have a tasting too? Bourbon for purchase?
I'm not sure if it's a tasting or if you
or
buy it, but
right.
but it's going to be all kind of. You're going to be. It's. You
kind
can't
of
smoke
bourbon?
on all that. You
Yeah,
can't
what
smoke
kind of
cigars on.
bourbon?
I'm not sure. He asked me, and I'll have to talk to him. I'm not sure.
Ryan
which
and
one.
Wood.
They
They
don't
do
make a
wine.
bourbon,
They do.
rye.
They do whiskey.
Oh, okay.
They don't make a bourbon.
They don't make a bourbon. They make a
The
rye.
Yankees don't make good bourbon anyway.
So, but anyway, so
Are you,
get.
are you a bourbon drinker, Susan? Yeah.
Sometimes
Yeah.
my
My-
son
my-
and son-in-law are whiskey drinkers of all kinds.
My
My son says bourbon is like the gateway whiskey. He started with it, and then now he's a Scotch drinker.
So I hopefully this, because so many people went on that last one, there may be room if people want to go on this next
on
one.
the next one, yeah.
The link is in the thing.
Okay.
Come, I guarantee you're gonna have an incredible time.
Okay, how's Tom Ellis doing?
He's doing great.
Yeah.
He's doing really great, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah, Tom is a guy that you meet that guy, and you want to you would sign up to go on a cruise around the world because he is so
On a boat
interesting.
that size, I don't know.
I'm telling you, he's just so interesting, so laid back, so positive, so
He's a very positive person.
he is the kind of guy you want to hang out with.
Yeah,
No
need more of
question.
that. Need more of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I should have asked him what bourbon they got. Kylie Davis is kind of behind the scenes. She works in the office there.
Oh, okay.
Brenda Davis, friend of the blog, fan of the blog.
Okay.
Brenda Davis,
Her daughter.
her daughter, yeah. So there's that. Speaking of your son, I owe him an enormous debt of gratitude. He was down the dock. I met him for the first time last week or 2 weeks ago,
Oh, yeah, around 4th of July.
around 4th of July. And he had these sneakers on, and I've been looking for there's this kind of new class of sneakers that's emerged the last year or two, and it's kind of like more of a leisure sneaker. Usually they're made out of either mesh or they have like
Part of that whole athleisure look.
athleisure.
Athleisure.
Like the
yeah.
clothes, athleisure.
Yeah.
Right, and
leisure
are you
wear.
talking about sneaker sandals?
No.
I'm a
They're,
leisurely.
they're shaped like like sneakers. They look like sneakers, but the material is usually very lightweight and porous, almost like
Right.
you could like there's just mesh,
they
but
breathe.
It's
breathable.
not for serious
They're
athletic
It's not for
competition.
serious. It's for.
For
Why
Do
don't
you
I-
have? Are yours kind of like that? Yeah. Yours are in that vein.
Nice.
So
Shouldn't have done that.
so my feet happen to be wide.
Like Asher's are one.
Asher's are wide, and I mentioned to him, I really like your sneakers. He goes, these sneakers I own. I don't know if he owns more than 3 pairs, but he
Buys his
definitely owns at least 3 pairs. And he
He
says,
stockpiles them for when they wear out.
right, because they're.
They're so comfortable.
He has
He has
a
such
wife.
trouble. His feet are almost a perfect square.
Wow.
So he has trouble finding
Right,
shoes that he likes the looks and the comfort.
So he sent me a link
Yeah.
to these New Balance sneakers. And
Oh, I'm glad they're New Balance.
they are New
That's
Balance.
good to hear, yeah.
Jim Davis, right?
Yeah.
So I took the link, I opened it up. I could have purchased it on the New Balance store, but I went to Mark Adrian's because
Right,
see if I can
Buy local.
see if I can give him the
I love
business.
that.
Right.
He says he didn't have them and he couldn't order them.
Oh, okay.
Like, okay, that's fine. So I went home, little discouraged. I just kind of I put it on the back burner. As it turns out, Catherine Ryan was going to the New Balance factory in Lawrence, was it?
Oh, wow.
And they have
I think the outlet
get
store is like
some
in
hair kits.
Dorchester or
Wow.
something.
I want to say she went to
I don't remember.
Lawrence.
I went there once.
So I know.
Somerville.
No, Alston.
Alston.
Brighton. Yeah,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
I used to
that's it.
drive that road
I went there
to
one
date
time.
my ex-girlfriend. What?
I went there to that outlet one time.
So they had these sneakers, the exact ones
That you wanted?
that
in
I
your
wanted
size?
in my size.
Was it a discount?
It was the same price that you could get them on Amazon.
Okay.
Did you check Zappos?
I
It
didn't.
is Amazon, isn't it?
Oh, is
So they have
Zappos online?
Zappos?
You can buy
I
through-
think they're integrated.
You can buy Zappos sells through Amazon.
Well, because I didn't know that. I
You
just
didn't
go
want to
to-
wait for Prime Day?
I go to the Zappos website and I get them the next day.
Yeah.
That's what Zappos is.
And free
Yeah, that's
return
pretty good.
shipping.
it's
I
free.
love that.
It's free everything.
Yeah,
free
right.
shipping.
They have a great
Free
variety.
return.
Wonderful.
So anyway, if you have wide feet, and you're looking for so these are super lightweight, super cushion, like supportive and
Right.
cushiony,
And big arch support. And
big arch support,
Yeah.
wide, and breathable. You don't have, you necessarily. He didn't. I don't think Asher wears socks. I
So, no, he wears footies. With
little
his-
footies with him, like
Yeah,
the little
yeah.
pads.
Yeah.
And I would just if you're one of these people that has wide feet,
Wide feet. Well,
just $50. Order them. You'll thank
Yeah, he wears.
Asher.
Did you get the 4E? He wears the 4E
No, I don't have that wide.
with.
Mine aren't that wide.
I was
Two-
admiring your new boots.
two.
Anyways, what are those?
I got these are extra tough. I got these at Nelson's, and Talitha is. Do you know? Do you know Talitha?
No.
This young lady is
That
is buying it out.
Oh.
She's either bought it out or in the process of buying it out
I see.
from a long-time guy that ran.
Well,
the
those are
place.
sharp. I've never seen you wear.
Well,
Yeah.
I wear these low-cut, easy to get on and easy to get off neoprene boots down the wharf.
In the summertime, especially, do you wear those? But you don't wear the short ones. in
You've
the
seen
wintertime.
my
Yeah.
brown ones,
Right.
A lot.
and they're winter weight.
Right.
These ones they're like a
Yeah,
mid-ankle,
Yeah.
and they are super lightweight. But I'm in and out of the tanks all day long, and my feet aren't sweating, but they're dry.
I want those ones. I told Freddie to get me a pair.
They're awesome.
That's what I want. Yeah, your winter weight ones are right here. They're super thick, but those are super cute. They look
I
like
wouldn't touch those.
Right.
I know.
like
And
the
then
red
don't
one.
eat your yummy
Right,
croissant.
and the red,
Yeah.
white, and blue.
They have all different colors.
Yeah, but I like the red, white, and blue.
I do too.
I know.
They're
I was
super-
I was noting he was all decked out in red, white, and blue
Yeah, it's
today.
good.
Yeah,
the
because
forest.
I'm thinking about those for gardening. Those would be nice for gardening.
They'd be great for
Yeah.
gardening. They're decked. They have a decked sole though. If you look, that's a not. They're non-marking soles.
They're just super cute.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And they're made by Extra Tough.
extra tough. I like them so much that I went and bought the navy hat with the white mesh in the back.
Okay.
I had that in the car. I wore that.
There's a hat we
I wore that on the Thomas Lennon. If you see any of the pictures from the Thomas Lennon, I was wearing that hat for the first time. Anyway,
One more question about those. Do those have arch supports in them?
there is some arch
There's
support.
some
It's
arch.
not super pronounced.
Okay.
But there
Well,
is some
something is
arch.
better than nothing.
There is, and if you
Yeah.
bought them, I guarantee you,
Yeah.
she has the inserts there that you can put
Oh,
in.
you can put them in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Talitha is fantastic.
We love shopping.
If you haven't been in Nelson's,
Yeah.
if you're just a regular person that doesn't
It's a
have
level.
like an intense industrial job, it's still worth walking
Yes.
through Nelson's.
We-
Wait a second. You haven't seen the real showstopper.
Oh boy.
Hold
Oh
on a
boy.
second. I'm going to show you the real
I'm
showstopper.
leaving.
The bell.
Oh, the bell.
The lost
Oh,
one.
the bell.
Oh,
Freddie, the
oh,
lobster one.
We were a little nervous over here.
Yeah, I was getting.
What did you think was going to happen?
Fire.
What did you think was going to happen?
I didn't know.
I wonder if mine's longer than yours. We are talking belts, right?
We're talking.
belts.
Yeah. Oh my God.
It's so easy to get. It's so easy to get on and off. You just go like that.
Is that
and you
from
click
the-
it.
Yeah, don't
Even
show
even in your driveway.
Yeah, exactly.
$15.
Cut off
For
and
our
part.
It's
listeners,
awesome.
Joey's showing us a new belt with lobsters on it.
It's a navy blue belt with the
Like
classic,
a cavalry belt.
the classic
That's what they're called.
red.
And I'm fanning Kim because she's
She's sitting the closest.
But
Oh
it's
my God.
it's so what I love about this belt, this lobster, the belt with the lobster print on it, is it's super lightweight. In the if you wear shorts and you're a guy and if you wear a belt,
You don't want to.
if you have a heavy belt and your shorts are light and your shorts aren't necessarily tight on
Not
you,
gonna look
Yeah.
right.
the weight of the
doesn't-
buckle
yeah.
will
Pull
pull.
your pants off.
Yeah.
And
Pants
you're
on the
constantly-
ground.
it's
Remember
self-defeating.
Right.
Defeating, but yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So this belt is super
Like a
lightweight.
fool with your pants on the ground.
Yeah.
We
So
go
Freddie's
shop- we
will
go to
sit in the
Nelson's.
bag in our bedroom for months. So tell Freddie he should wear it because I just
Wow.
bought him the lobster boat one.
Why won't he wear it?
Like he just has the thing about
they
setting things
have
aside
other-
and then forgetting to go back to them. So it's with all of his other.
Do they
Well,
have
guys
other
have
designs
guys
or
have
only
favorite
lobster?
belts. So what?
Do they have other designs on the belt?
They did. Well,
I got the lobster boat. The
Oh,
this
that's
little
right.
boat.
That'd
Yeah,
be cute.
Yeah, I bet you they have like ducks on one of them for duck hunters.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what they had there, but
Yeah,
at Nelson's they had ones appropriate to.
Time to go
our-
shopping at Nelson.
Let's go
Yeah.
right
We
now.
love it
Time they
there.
open.
I always get my Helly
Big men's
Hansons
shorts
there.
on
And
sale.
Kate gets her father's Christmas presents at Nelson's every year. He loves,
does? Oh,
yeah,
really?
he loves the stuff there.
Fine.
my mom used to get Freddie a gift card every single year for there,
Oh,
but he
what
would
a
use
nice-
it like the next day. Job lot Nelson's is what we where he
Nice.
shops.
Well, I'm not, all right. So there's that. Nichole, you want to speak to the Sea Cadet meet and greet for interested families? which is
Yeah, a
happening.
lot of families. So Thatcher's been doing the U.S. Navy Sea Cadets for a year now and loves it. And a lot of families will ask us when we're out and about it. Right now, they're down the boulevard doing some just non-mandatory PT. They're running and doing their like exercise and whatever to get ready for their physical fitness test. But there is a meet and greet twice a year, so families who might be interested can just go to the Coast Guard station and learn about it. So one of those is coming up, and I just lost the date, Joey.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
I have the date, August 26th.
Okay.
Can I ask you a question? Just for people that are listening, what does your son do at Sea Cadets? Like, what are some of the things that?
Yeah.
happen?
So, well, in order to, so it's the United States Navy Sea Cadet program. There's one in Boston, and we're lucky to have one here in Gloucester, run out of the Coast Guard station. And they're normal drills that are mandatory. I forget what the percentage is, but in order to advance in rank, which sounds funny, but in order to advance in rank, you have to pass the physical fitness test every year. You have to take a certain amount of book work. You have to pass quizzes and then a test. So there's some learning involved. And then you have to go to X amount of the drills at the Coast Guard station. So an average drill is you get there at 8:30. They do like a 2-hour class with one of their instructors. They did a lot of robotics, aquatic robotics this year. They do a lot of nautical studies. They do some marksmanship. They do all sorts of different classroom work depending on who their instructors are. They always do some physical fitness, and then they do a lot of hands-on, and then they break for lunch, and then they get dismissed at like 2 o'clock. They practice their marching. They do a lot of great color guard at different events here in town, and then away. We almost tried to go up to Bristol.
Is it
New Hampshire
expensive?
Today. Not at all, no.
Is
I
it
think
co-ed?
it's like $250. It's co-ed, and I
that's
think
what
it's
I
like
was gonna ask you.
$250 for the year.
And girls can
Absolutely,
go too.
there's 2
Oh, so it's
right
not
now.
seasonal. It's not like a summer camp.
No, it's all year.
Oh,
They actually
yeah.
take a kind of a break in the summer. It mostly is September to June, and then a lot of the older cadets will go away to like 1 and 2 week like military camps over the summer, which is kind of intensive. But with that, there's a ton
What's an
of.
older cadet? What do you mean by
So Thatcher is only 11. So they have the league cadets are 10 to 13, and then 13 to 17 are the Sea Cadets, and a lot they're older. They're in high school. They might know what they want to do, and they're actually going away to like 2-week-long camps. But with all the drills or all the volunteer things that they get to do. So Thatcher, in the year he's been in it, has already flown a helicopter, flown an airplane, done marksmanship. So much great community service. They do tons of volunteering with the veterans, Adam Kukuru and the Veterans Association, in the parades and color guards, and just helping set up things like the Harvest
Great
Festival,
experience. Yeah.
and breaking down things at the Harvest Festival. And they do a lot of work over at the Elks Club.
Does Finn want to do it?
He'll definitely do it too,
He does
yeah.
wanna do
But
it.
I can't speak enough to. I mean, I don't know. Thatcher just turned 11. I have no idea what Thatcher's future holds for him. So, but the discipline and the
Teamwork
breadth and
and-
scope of what he's learning and what he has been able to do through
Kind
the
of
Sea
like
Cadets.
scouting without the bad politics.
Yeah, well, you know what, and just, I mean, Thatcher is, he's a boat kid. He used to
he's a water bug.
stand at the Coast Guard station over the fence, and again, this is through the Navy, but it operates out of the Coast Guard station, and was just obsessed. And we had, I wrote, a long blog post years ago about his experience at the Coast Guard station with Petty Officer Bowen, who I'll never forget. I'm sure he's not there anymore, but just seeing Thatcher through the fence and inviting him in and taking him onto the boats, and he's always been, obsessed with that. So now
But
to be there,
there's
like,
only
in
a handful of
class
kids
is-
that are doing this. So you have to
Why?
because it's
Would
not
you
many
have to
people.
apply and
not
be
people know
selected?
it.
Not a
or
lot of people know about it.
Can
It's-
anyone do it?
Yeah, you have to, you have to want to stick with it. You have to, there's like a little interview. I mean, they're not like crazy selective, but it takes a certain type of kid to
Well,
want
it's
to
not
do
like
there's
it's
both
more
ways.
than
Yeah.
college.
It's
It's
longer
like-
than a season in sports, so it's a
Yeah,
it's
it has been hard
see
for
that.
him with all of his hockey to commit full time to both things, but there hasn't been a day he hasn't wanted to go. I woke him up today on the way here to get him down there just for, they're just running the boulevard and doing their calisthenics to stay in shape. But there's so many great things. There's so many different types of kids who do it, and they're there for different reasons, and Thatcher's there for
I
4 or 5
guarantee
different
you.
reasons. But
I guarantee you that this type of thing, he keeps up with this right through to college.
yeah,
That there's going to be monies available.
Oh, he'll end up at the Naval Academy.
Right. I mean, well,
Or
the
the
Naval
Coast
Academy.
Guard
I think you have to
Academy.
have a certain amount of the grades. It's very
Not
isn't
as
it-
high as you'd think. Not as high as some elite colleges.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the service academies, they're looking for a well-rounded
well-rounded.
Well, it's
Yeah.
definitely
kind
got
of
to
person. And you do have to have, good grades and decent scores, but it's not like trying to get into Harvard. They're looking for different
It's going to
qualities. But I
have
believe
monstrous
the most,
leg up.
the
Yeah.
most selective of all of them, I believe, is the Coast Guard Academy.
yeah. I've heard that.
It's the
I don't know.
toughest to
I don't
get
know if that's
into.
true.
And the opportunities, if he pursues that type of career,
Amazing.
yeah.
And you don't pay for college.
Yeah. Well, that's what I mean. Thatcher is a pretty well-rounded kid and has a lot going for him. But selfishly, that's one of the reasons I was super excited about this.
Yeah.
I feel like this day and age, you need as much as you can. But for me too, the community service and the good that he's already done has been
Well, that's a
Unbelievable.
gift. That's
Well,
such a gift.
instilling
That's
it now,
great.
it's going to last, his whole life.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's
Kudos,
great.
Mom. Kudos.
Yeah.
thank you.
Well, he's following your example, I'm sure.
That's right.
And your husband's example.
Yeah, I
so.
think probably a lot of Freddie too.
Tonight's one of those Rockport music at the beaches.
Tomorrow, every Monday.
Oh, Monday nights.
Yeah, Monday night 6 to 8 at the grandstand, the bandstand, the gazebo at Back Beach.
In Rockport.
Is the music series. So tomorrow night is Satch Cairns, Amy, Rich. I forget the middle name. I forget how, but she did the last one 2 weeks ago. They took last Monday off just because of the 4th and whatnot, and so she was down there. The Headlands, I think, is the name of that group. She's phenomenal. And then Satch is this week. Dan King is coming up. A few other great bands are coming up. But yeah, 6 to 8 people bring beach chairs and blankets and pack some food and sit down there and enjoy the music.
We have a link for more information. Just click on the link. Also, there's a link for the Sea Cadet meet and greet. It brings you to their Facebook page if you're interested in more information. Today, did everybody see that? And I have to preemptively say, because I misrepresented. I did a post about Kate making her lobster salad thing.
We noticed.
We noticed.
With no mayonnaise.
So she said, I appreciate that she's a healthy person.
Right.
I appreciate that she
She's such a healthy
takes
cook,
care of
yeah.
herself,
Yeah.
and she's a healthy cook, and she takes good care of me that way. when it comes to lobster rolls, we have
That having
had
been said.
we have had a steadfast throughout the year. One constant has been
Yeah.
that we
Your
shit
standards for
all over people that make an abomination out of. I use the word.
Yeah.
That's
I
just a
didn't
little
want you to miss
strong.
it. No,
No,
not
I
in
don't
this
think
case.
it's-
Not in
yeah,
this case.
yeah.
Out of
I think it's
out of
appropriate.
lobster rolls.
Yeah.
Kate, this is. I was
think the word
remiss
you used
because
on the
what
right
she did not make a
blasphemous.
lobster roll.
Yes.
She did not try to pass that off as a lobster.
That's
Oh,
true.
okay.
Yeah.
This is what
yeah.
I'm
What
going
did she
with.
call it? Like lobster salad?
It was like a lobster salad.
Yeah.
She also made my lobsters the lobster roll the way I wanted it. But it was pretty funny to see after all these years
Yeah, that is.
religiously every year eviscerating foodies all over the country for their pretentious lobster rolls on fancy baguettes using ingredients like turmeric and jalapeno
Oh, and
Right.
ginger.
and ginger and just absolutely
I'm giant.
demolishing people. And then she comes, she slides this thing across the countertop, and it's coming at me with the jalapenos on top, and my eyes started twitching. She goes, "Don't worry, that's not for you. That's for me." She goes, "I'm not going to have all that mayonnaise." And she goes, and she put avocado, mixed it with avocado and stuff like
That
that.
sounds good.
So
Did you ever have a lobster salad sandwich with bacon on it, like a lobster BLT?
no,
Now that's tasty.
I would try it.
I would try that too.
Very good.
Anything with bacon. though.
Everything's better with bacon, of course.
Right.
Crab sandwich with bacon. So here's the thing, though. It looked visually stunning.
Yeah, looks
It
very
did look
pretty.
very
It's
attractive.
visually stunning. I tried it. I will take the lobster roll 100 times out of 100
There you go.
over that.
There you go.
Over that.
Hers
Well,
looked
kudos
nice,
to
though.
you for
She
You
enjoyed her thing.
Yeah.
And then did you have one with mayonnaise?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
You
she
don't read
made
the blog,
2
do you?
menus.
she doesn't.
We all have that problem.
No, it's true. I miss things too.
Well, kudos to you for sharing it, because you could have just hidden that from all of us. We would have never known
In
such a thing.
the
It looked
Existed,
really.
but-
fairness
I saw the
but good-
pictures. It looked really pretty.
full
did
disclosure,
look
yes, it
nice.
did look pretty.
Yes.
Good.
Like these
I don't know if
other.
I'd want jalapeno on a lobster roll. I
Yeah.
just
It wasn't a lobster roll though, so we
No,
have to
right.
we have to
Right.
continue
Lobster,
to make
I
sure
know.
we are not calling this a lobster roll.
I'm personally not crazy about the combination of avocado with lobster meat. It's the combination is just a little
too much
like-
soft texture.
yeah, like lobsters can be a little chewy too sometimes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then there's mushiness.
Yeah,
I don't
I
know.
can see
I'm not
that.
so crazy
It didn't
about
have the. It did not.
Even a
It
lobster
masked it
salad.
to me. It masked the flavor.
that. Yeah.
So it did not accentuate the flavor. I like that saltiness
The
from
salty
the butter
sweet.
and the sweet
Right.
and the
The-
butter and the.
Lobsters are so purely sweet and salty together. I
Yeah.
think that what makes them so fun and wonderful.
Delicious.
So there's that.
Hey, people have his and hers towels in the house. You have his and hers lobster rolls.
No,
Exactly.
no. We have to go back. We have to.
Not a lobster.
She did not make a lobster roll. It was not a lobster roll.
Right.
We'd have problems because we're supposed to get married. We're not calling that a lobster roll.
Right. There you
I
go.
have
I
a
think
certain.
this is like the hill you're going to die on, isn't it?
No, she did. We didn't have a problem. We did. She didn't stuff. She didn't force that on me. She voluntarily made mine the way I like it.
Good.
You are doing it right.
I shucked them. I
Oh,
purchased
that's
them.
nice.
I shucked them. She prepared them.
Now, what is your yield per pound when you, as a professional lobster guy,
It's funny.
shucks
That,
a lobster?
it's funny that you
Because I've
should ask.
calculated my yield when I shuck lobsters.
Oh, what did you yield?
About 30%.
That's about right. 5 pounds.
The weight of the meat
Wait,
to the weight of the whole
The-
lobster.
That's
the whole
that.
lobster. Huh.
That's roughly what I got.
Jasper White says people get generally 20 to 25%, but I get about 30 by working really hard at it.
Yeah. Oh my God. A lobster roll. So, as you can imagine, like a lot of people around town, because they know how hard I work down here and stuff, and how many lobsters I see during the course of the. They say you must be sick of lobsters, and the answer always is
Not
absolutely not. I love eating
Not eating
lobsters.
them.
Yeah. So this was interesting to me. Yes, Saturday mornings I have off. I don't work on Saturday mornings, so I wake up generally a little bit before Kate, and the show that I watch is the Tony. One of the shows I watch is Pardon the Interruption with Mike Wilbon and Tony Kornheiser. And it's one of these shows where they have topics, and they're all lined up in the right-hand column, sports-related topics, and then they run down their takes on each topics. So the World Cup final is in an hour or so.
Right.
Which, around the world, there is...
That's huge news.
It's huge.
It's enormous news.
Yeah.
It's bananas, right?
It's Croatia versus France, isn't
Right.
it?
Croatia versus France. I've watched more World Cup this year than I ever have. I've become a soccer fan due to
Madeline, yeah, for
because
sure.
of Madeline and
Yeah.
everything else. But I truly enjoy watching soccer, especially.
It's a great sport to watch.
It's one of the best ones to watch.
I think so,
Yeah.
too.
It truly is.
I think so,
But
too.
in the middle of the summer, when baseball, people consider baseball before the All-Star break to be not really that important. Am I right, Jim?
Yeah.
A lot of people say, I'll start watching baseball after the All-Star break because that's when things start. You see where the teams are, what they're still in the hunt. Other than that,
Gets more
there
exciting.
really is not much sports news. A lot of the important sports media people take their vacations this time of year because it's kind of slow.
Oh, maybe that's why we're not hearing about the Red Sox, right? Aren't they on a
Well-
10-game win? Are they on a 10-game winning streak?
11 now. So the World Cup should be
At the top.
first page above the fold. Anywhere else in the whole world, this is the top story. On a sports, anywhere else in the world in a sports column or a sports page, the World Cup would be the top thing. It was the 5th story on this show.
Oh.
On the last episode they were going to have before the Sunday final,
Wow.
which was so shocking to me.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like
What were the
if you're
topics,
not a-
what
if
were the
you're-
topics before?
Yeah, what was that?
Terrell Owens not showing up at going to the Hall of Fame induction ceremony, a bunch of things that
Aren't really big news.
I mean,
Well, kids.
everything's relative, but they are like the producers of this show are finally in tune with what the people want to hear about.
Yeah.
They field questions and take phone calls and read emails. They know what the public wants. For them to place it there is not by accident.
Right.
It's because the
That's
United
right.
States. This
It
is the
reflects
United
American
States.
interest.
American interest in soccer
In general.
in general
Right.
is that's where it falls,
Right.
Wow.
which is
Well,
it's
we-
very
I
interesting.
think that will be less and less true as we give more. Like yesterday when I was in Revere, they had so many people just running around on the boulevard wearing the color of their team. You know what I mean? It was
Kim,
like
I
very-
remember saying
Were they
when I was in
English and Belgian
college.
people?
Yeah.
When I was in college, I remember making a statement to my friends that you watch in 10 years, soccer is going to be as big as any other major league sports. They all laughed at me, and as it turns out, and my rationale back then, and I can remember this argument, was that it's such a pure sport, and it's all over the world that it's just inevitable that it's going to come here and
Right.
translate,
Right.
Yeah.
and it hasn't. I mean, it
It is.
it's
well,
minuscule.
But not
It's
as
come
much
along.
as you
It's
thought.
come along, not as much as you
It's
thought,
co-
but
it's
but,
come
like,
along, but
think
it's
of all
got a
the
long
kid-
way to go.
But think of all the kids who play soccer now. You know
Jim,
what I mean?
I
also think
agree
other parts
with
of
you.
the country, MLS is a bigger thing than it is here.
Well, you said that
My son and his friends and tons of people in the South are like big because of Orlando and Atlanta United. They're big MLS people.
I love going to the
They
games,
sell out like.
but I
tens
talk to
of
other
thousands
people
every
like
game.
Oh, that's
they
Within his
those
stadium.
those seats. If you go to the Revolution game, and you go to their website, and they have the seats that are right down front
Right.
for like $100, and you can get the seats in the nosebleeds for $30 or whatever. If you buy the $100 seats, you're an absolute idiot because none of the seats.
They'll
The
be
rows in
You
between
can,
those
there's
two are
a
empty.
million rows that you can walk right down and be within 20
Yeah,
rows
it's not
of the.
so in other cities.
It's not
And
so,
MLS
and-
is much more of a thing
Right, and think
than
of
it is
how,
here.
think of how successful the Boston other teams are. You know what I mean? So that probably diverts a lot of attention.
Kim, I
you know,
agree,
the
but
Red
as
Sox.
this is a national show,
Yeah.
if they believed
Yeah.
that
Right.
the
The US people, right.
that the The
Well,
World
it's on
Cup.
the
The World
list.
Cup is way bigger than
MLS, sure.
MLS soccer.
Sure.
MLS soccer is a joke
Right.
compared to World Cup.
But their listeners wanted to hear
But it
it.
was-
If they believed there was a more important story, they would have put it higher.
But it is on the list.
It's on the list, but
on the
but
list.
this is the final. I mean, like the
Yeah.
whole
Yeah.
world,
Yeah.
every viewer, every
And it's
nationality
not every
has.
year. I mean, it's
Yeah.
Right.
So
And the teams in it this year are not ones that you would have picked.
Croatia and France. France was
Yeah.
was sort of in the
Yeah, but
In the
Croatia was
speaking.
like the little engine.
Croatia.
that
Right,
Croatia wasn't.
and Iceland,
But
right.
England-
I spent 10 minutes
England and Belgium-
trying to teach
and
a
they
guy how to
lost.
pronounce
Third
Croatian.
place.
But that was in
And
the
he
semis.
still-
Yeah.
He didn't speak
Right.
English as a first language or Croatian, and he still couldn't say
So
it.
it's,
Um,
I agree with that, Joey. It's
Cape Ann Motor Inn. Catherine Ryan did a great post about the.
She did. I was so happy to
Give me
see
that.
that.
I'm gonna open up the
Yeah.
window. We're gonna. I don't care right now. We need a little window. Everybody's dying right here. Like, it's 95 degrees.
Oh, that feels
It-
The,
nice.
the
I-
conditions we go through to bring this
I
podcast to you.
know. We have like
We have to speak
people.
a little louder.
Let us speak a little louder. But like before people drop off on me, everybody here is like wilting. Like we're all just going down. Catherine Ryan did a great post highlighting, which I did not know about, that they're doing some interesting things, and it has to do with because Brad Pierce owns the Cape Ann Motor Inn, right, which is the end of where Long Beach Dairy Maid is.
Yes.
That hotel at the end.
Yeah.
It's kind of been the same way for 100 years, right? But you said his daughter is involved.
Yep, Lauren Caputo's been working there for the last couple of years. Brad's still very much there too, but Lauren's trying
I'm
to put some
guessing.
breath of fresh air into the place.
wonderful.
She's done a lot of work. I love Lauren. She's one of my dear friends, but I don't want to give her all the credit if that's not true. I know mostly of Lauren doing it because I hang out with Lauren, but she has put a ton of time and effort. She's down there. She's working full time.
But that place has been operated kind of the same way for many years.
Yeah.
And that the different thing that I know of is Lauren Caputo, Lauren Caputo being there,
Yeah.
and now some different things happening.
Yeah, she's done a lot of renovating of the rooms, and but also mostly like Kat's post said that it's a place to be now. Like we go, it's easy for us to go to that beach. We'll park down there in that little lot and pay half the price and go down and sit near the hotel. They do have their own little private section for hotel residents, as they well should, or for hotel guests. But then on either side of that, you can access the beach. But they have the Salty Frank's hot dog truck down there.
yeah.
The
Oh,
mobile, what's it called? The ice cream, the mobile cow ice cream truck. And then Cape Ann SUP is down there renting paddle boards
Oh,
and
tremendous.
whatnot,
Wow.
right there in the parking lot, which is so great. So you can go to the beach before, like my kids will leave the beach and walk all the way up to the ice cream place at the end.
yeah,
What
that's
can I
nice.
think of the name? Long Beach Dairy Maid.
Right.
But now there's 3 things. It's just stuff going on. As
Do
soon as
they
you get
have
there,
trash cans
you
at
can
that
tell. We always take our own stuff out. I believe they have trash cans right there, but we
I'm
just have
going.
become we just bring the cooler, and I always have a couple plastic, market basket bags that I just put my own trash
So
in
that's
there and
cool
take it
though,
home.
like that they have these things. I want to
Yeah.
I'd
It's
love
a
to
good
have
time.
a.
We're doing a lot of work, and I can't say that. Like we have friends who come up who, you want to stay on the beach, and not everyone can afford the boat port or whatever. I know we talk about Rocky Neck accommodations a lot, but I mean, I think this is like if you're not, if you want the location and the accessibility, and you just want to roll out of bed and be on the beach,
Be on the
like,
beach.
they don't get
right,
enough.
wow.
They don't get enough props for what they do down there. She's working really hard, but it's such a fun place to be. I think it's a great take. If you're not.
That's great to hear.
I love
Yeah.
this. I love that they have these little satellite things. Cape Ann SUP. Can we talk about this? That place, like that, they were like a sleepy little thing. Well, not. I wouldn't say sleepy
Right.
because they had energy and,
Right,
and,
they
and
came
they were
out with
enthusiastically
it,
doing things.
energetically,
But they have gone in like 5 or 6 years now, and they have these satellite things
Yeah.
all over the place that people can get on these stand-up paddle boards and enjoy that activity.
Yeah, like so I took some pictures the other day of Cape Ann SUP at Good Harbor Beach, and I overheard them saying that they were picking up from Long Beach or something like that. So
Yeah.
they must have something going from Long Beach to
Yeah.
Good Harbor Beach, because it was some kind of like they were picking up all the boards from there and bringing them
Yeah.
back. And I was just like,
Well, I think
oh,
people
that's
can make the one-way track
way,
if they
right,
want, I believe. And then they're over at the Beauport too. Yeah, they have a few different places.
Smart.
Yeah.
So it's like food trucks, but it's sports equipment.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, I'm glad to hear that
Good
because I
idea.
know they had some headaches over there with the weather and
Yeah.
everything else, and to hear that
yeah.
they're still plugging forward and it's
They
doing
lost
great.
a lot of their sand
Yeah,
during the
kudos.
storms, but they've replaced all of that, and yeah, they're just doing a great job. I just they're working
Listen.
hard over there to make it a place that you want to be, and you
But-
should want to be there. For sure.
Well, Singing Beach, Good Harbor, Long Beach, the beaches dropped like 10 feet. But if you notice now, it's halfway through the summer, and it's really, there's some...
It's filling in a little bit?
It's filling in, and it's getting, important is that incline, which prevents is coming back, and that prevents the water from going all the way up to the seawalls into the dunes.
Speaking to my lobstermen,
Yeah.
what they said to me was, there is always going to be an evolution of this stuff going in and coming out,
right.
and coming in and going out. And man, without an absolutely ridiculous amount of money that, like, and it is not going to alter what the ocean wants to, where it wants to put that sand.
Right.
And you could spend ungodly amounts of money to push the sand out or to reconfigure it. And in one storm, it can all be gone. All that money that you spent can be gone.
Right. The things that they have to keep restoring, though, are the seawalls and the beaches. But I'll tell you something really exciting that's happening at Good Harbor Beach, because a certain area has been roped off, which been roped off earlier than usual. Where the dunes are recovering much, much faster because there's a huge area of seagrass and sea vegetation regrowing there, and that is what, more than anything,
Holds.
more than pumping more sand in or whatever, that vegetation is what is going to help the dunes more than anything, and helping to regrow
That's
that.
good to hear.
So, yeah.
It's coming
So
back.
my hope is that once they take the plover fencing down, they keep a row of fencing 15 feet from the dune up the, just roped off. It doesn't have to say plovers, but that will at least discourage people, because right now people just go back and forth and use the dunes as their personal bathroom.
Yeah.
So if they have
Some people do.
it's just normal.
There's always just people. There's always going to be people.
There's always going to be people like that, but this way the dunes will continue because they're recovering on their own right now, where we lost so much. So just because
That's
the
great to
vegetation,
hear, 'cause,
just
yeah.
because the vegetation has been allowed to grow. What is it?
It's been-
April, May, June, July. Not even
months.
4 months. So
Yeah. No, you also had a revelation that there's a Kildare family.
yeah.
Explain what a Kildare is.
Okay, so killdeer is a type of plover, just like Wilson's plovers and black-bellied plovers and piping plovers. But we're very fortunate that they're a shorebird, but they're the least shorebird-like of shorebirds. So they nest. They're not endangered because they're very highly adaptable. And over the last 100 years, they've adapted. They'll nest in a gravel pit, in a golf course, in a driveway.
Your Dunkin' Donuts cup.
Yeah. Yes, and they nest on the ground, and they this is the second pair this summer that we've had nesting at Good Harbor Beach. The first pair nested in the dunes. I think it's the same pair because they usually do at least 1 or 2 broods per summer. And they're just beautiful, and they're bigger than piping plovers. They're less vulnerable. Their habitat, they blend in perfectly with gravel and dunes,
Right,
where
yeah.
piping plovers are sandy colored, and they blend in perfectly with sand. So, but another what was really cool about this one, they did it right in the parking lot, which they don't usually do, but it was on the edge of the parking lot, and the wonderful staff at the Good Harbor Beach parking lot attendants put a large stone on either side of the nest, and then a week later somebody put a cone up. So, and just that enough kept the eggs from being run over by a car. And then, I've been watching them for the last month, and they hatched, and they're beautiful. And then, like the next day, they ran into the marsh, so they're raising the chicks in the marsh, not in the parking lot.
Nice.
Yeah, and but they're beautiful, and this is the 3rd year in a row that I know of because that they've been nesting at Good Harbor Beach, and it could have been going on longer, but I only started keeping a record 3 years ago. So yeah, we're very
Awesome.
fortunate, right in our own backyards. What's so exciting about killdeers and plovers and least terns is that most shorebirds nest in the Arctic tundra, or snowy animals. So we'll never ever be able to see their life cycle unfold. Like we'll never see them mating and laying eggs in the nest and everything. With piping plovers, least terns, killdeers, we can see all that unfolding right before our very eyes.
Yeah, you mentioned about how when people came by, the killdeer was doing the broken wing trick.
Yeah. That's a lot of plovers can do that. That's a species specific thing, but it's amazing to me. It's very dramatic with the killdeers because they really they drag their wing all over the parking lot and they're
get attention away from their babies.
And they're slowly leading you away from the babies. It's called broken wing distraction display, and they're just it's just amazing.
Yeah,
to
we
see.
watched the parent. We watched the parent killdeers with the first brood, and one of the little babies was out on the parking lot. And the parents were chasing away the crows. It was very interesting to watch.
Yeah, crows are an issue everywhere. They're becoming, as the crow
they're
population
getting worse and worse. There's no question.
And like a whole. I've been doing a lot of researching at other beaches, and there's a restaurant on Revere Beach which has just like a resident flock of crows, and they took out a whole there were. The first batch of piping plover eggs at Revere, they took the whole thing out. They found them. They knew to go from nest to nest, and they ate all the piping plover eggs. There's a whole second batch of piping plovers now at Revere Beach, but the crows took the first batch out. Isn't that wild?
Wow.
Crows, yeah. I mean, people feed the crows.
Maybe we should just eat crow.
Well, people feed crows. It's against the rules in Gloucester to feed crows and seagulls, but people do it anyways, and they're really turning into a nuisance. I mean, I love all animals. I love dogs. I love crows. I love gulls, but they're getting a little. If you keep feeding them, then they're going to keep making more and more babies because there's more food for them, and then the crow population is overtaking other species, which is not good.
There you go.
Why don't we put the dogs where the crows nest?
Susan always has the best
Good
ideas.
idea, Susan.
On those crows' nests, I'll bring my dogs.
There you
They'll end
go.
up downtown at the bar.
I just learned. We just learned that Susan has French bulldogs.
They're attack dogs, is what they are.
He
No,
texted me yesterday to put up the scary dogs.
Yeah.
No, I was going to park. I wanted to make sure the dogs were secure. I didn't want to get attacked. She had to put netting up to secure the dogs so that they didn't jump down and do the Jimmy Superfly snooker and take me out.
Are there legs
I'm
about
going
the
to
size
take
of
away his parking permit if he insults my dogs anymore. That's it. You're on thin ice right now, so just keep talking.
That parking spot's coming my way. Keep it up.
Yes.
I'm craving for some sushi.
You have to
Keep it
fight
up.
Kim for the parking spot.
I love French bulldogs. Those are the cutest.
Oh, they're
dogs.
wonderful.
I have two. My daughter has two, but they moved to Japan.
Aww.
I just want to mention one more time about the bourbon and cigar sale on the Schooner Landing. The link to get tickets to go, come with us. It's Friday, the 27th of July. Please come. I guarantee you're going to have the best time. That's GloucesterCast 288 in the books. Boom.
Wow, we were done.
In
I
the
didn't even know
gutter
you were
maybe
finishing up.
instead.